Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Johnston. I'm a consciousness coach and a leadership development expert. But this month we're talking relationships, spring cleaning, those vital relationships which actually make life worth living. But they've taken a lot of strain this year. From what I've seen, the lockdown, the virus has created a massive layer of tension that shows up in irritability, shows up in people shouting, being intolerant. And so I'm going to invite you today to share what's going on in your head, to share your secrets. Because you see, what happens in relationships, when you don't share, it almost creates like a disc, a separation between the two people. And the more discs there are, the more separation there is. And what happens is when you don't deal with something unshared, it has a fairly nasty way of growing from a molehill into that mountain. And sharing is scary because sharing means being vulnerable. Sharing means telling what's in your heart. And so many people avoid it. They avoid it out of fear. And so what happens is people tend to go into what is worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that could happen if I tell my innermost secret? And of course there is worst case scenario, but it's not real. It's only a movie in your head. So what if you went to best case scenario? And in fact, the people I've encouraged to do this during this time have had the most unbelievable best case scenarios. So stuff unhidden, stuff unshared has been shared. And what I've seen is that what that does is yes, it's a vulnerable place, but vulnerability brings intimacy, brings closeness, brings connection, and gets rid of those discs, takes them off the shelf, so that you can actually be clear, be connected. You know, if you can't be that with the person that you love the most in the world, then what's the point? And so I'm going to let you just think for a second, how do you react when somebody is vulnerable? How do you react when somebody is fearful and scared? Don't you want to go to them and open your heart to them and be kind to them? Well, most people do. So I'm going to invite you to get out of the assumption that if you share, there's going to be conflict or confrontation, and actually share your heart and see what happens. Start to imagine best case scenario, which also, by the way, is unreal. Worst case scenario is a movie in your head, and best case scenario is a movie in your head. But which one is going to give you the better outcome? What's the worst thing that could happen? And I want you to start to think about what's the best thing that can happen in your relationship if you just unburden yourself. I almost promise you that you will feel liberation, that you'll feel lightness, that you'll feel connection. And if you want to know more about this, we've got a really beautiful workshop in the Firepower group called Clear and Connected Relationships. So if you go to the website, you'll be able to get all the details. I invite you to go and do this spring cleaning. Have a beautiful week.